Listen, so much to talk about. I know you haven't got much time. The Chagos Islands, extraordinary, and you'll have to help me out, but it seems that the British government, whilst refusing to have a national inquiry into rape gangs and whilst seemingly running this country into the ground, are set to sign this deal this week, giving Mauritius, is it 9 billion quid?
It's something like that, yeah. No, they don't have money for pensioners, but they've got 10 billion for overseas climate change, and they've got 9 billion. No, I mean, this is truly extraordinary because it sort of sums up this government in a way that most people don't quite understand because they just think it's so daft. We are paying somebody to take British sovereign territory when we don't have to.
Why? Just explain to me how that idiot Lammy can even begin to justify this. What is this? Because we want to get rid of the empire or something? What is this?
I think there's a couple of upfront reasons, and there are a couple of implied reasons. The upfront reasons is that the International Criminal Court has made a judgment. It's not really true. It's non-binding. You can ignore these things, and frankly, this court comes under pressure from developing nations, and we've been slightly hijacked in some international justice forum. Big deal. Okay. Second reason is that we need to impress friends in the developing world, and they'll really like us if we do this. Again, if anyone believes that, I have a bridge to sell them, etc. So I think.
What about your own people who are struggling? But what about pensioners? So 9 billion to the Chagos Islands or Mauritius to take the Chagos Islands, and what was the saving? 1.6 billion by freezing, by their own admission, 4,000 people to death this year who have paid their stamp for years. It doesn't make sense, Bob.
Absolutely, it doesn't make sense. And I think the hidden reason in the FCO is that you've got some people there with an anti-colonial, decolonising agenda, and somehow giving away this territory is decolonising. And, they may not like the Americans very much.
Well, this is from a foreign secretary who said, and I quote, that the climate change problems in this country were more important than the Middle East. The reason I wanted you on, my friend, is to sort of find this similar, well, complete opposites, to be fair. So we've got Trump, the man that everybody, well, the Democrats think mad, won the popular vote, is going to be re-elected and re-inaugurated, of course, next Thursday, and has been quite vocal. In fact, two things have happened in the last 24 hours. One, it seems that Starmer and Lammy and those idiots inside Whitehall are rushing to get this Chagos deal through before Trump is inaugurated, because Trump will reverse this in a heartbeat, won't he?
Well, I'm just sort of slightly praying for a Trump tweet in the next 12 hours or so to say something like, do this and there'll be no trade deal. I mean, our last hope is, frankly, that the Americans step in, because it is a base used by the Americans. It is a really valuable and really important base in the middle of the Indian Ocean in an increasingly dangerous and unstable world. We should not be giving it away. The Chagosians don't want us to give it away. The Mauritians have never, ever possessed the islands, and effectively were paid off in the 1960s to make sure they never did. The whole thing absolutely stinks. And the only reason that I can see that Starmer is doing this is actually he wants to impress his left-wing legal friends in London.
Yes, and all those globalist ideological idiots in Islington. But what's interesting, and why I, like you, pray for a tweet, is because the man himself said 10 days ago, unless there is a ceasefire in the Middle East and those hostages are home by the time I become the president, hell will be unleashed. Lo and behold, it seems, and I could be wrong, that a Gaza ceasefire deal is in its final stages and nearer than it's been in nearly a year and a half, which says a lot, whatever you make of Donald Trump, for the impression he gives on the world stage, Bob.
Yeah, Jeremy, it also, actually, to be fair to the Israelis, it also shows how the Israelis have obliterated and worn down Hamas.
Absolutely.
And so you get all these lefties going, oh, don't do this, don't do that, and the Israelis were rightly saying we need to protect our people.
Absolutely.
They have done what they can to avoid civilian casualties, but if Hamas guerrillas and fighters surround themselves by civilians, they are actually bringing death and destruction on their own people, and they're doing it deliberately. So the primary people who should be blamed for any civilian casualties in Gaza are these repugnant Hamas and repugnant Hezbollah, which is why it was so truly joyful to see all those pages exploding, because even then people were whining about it. You cannot literally get more targeted than a terrorist's pager blowing up when they're wearing it.
Do you believe that a deal is close? Do you think it's rhetoric, or do you think we are at a point where... Because nobody, whatever your political persuasion, whether you support Palestine, whether you support Israel, I've made my position very clear. Nobody wants to see what's happening in Gaza at all, but you're very right in what you say about Hamas, a terrorist organisation that blew up those people and shields itself behind innocent people. The Israelis aren't perfect, never having said they are. But to me, the main point is, if you look at the Chagos Islands and a deal that's set to be signed, and then you think of Trump, if he could voice about the Chagos Islands, that might buy those people, well, this whole situation might be different, which I think the majority of the British public would want to be done differently. That's how I see it.
I think the majority of British people think that our interests, our strategic interests, should be protected. It's becoming a more dangerous world, and our allies are important to us, and looking after our own and our possessions is also important to us. Not giving them away in order to impress your legal friends in North London, or for some nebulous gain that the Foreign Office talks about impressing people in the developing world. If I was a developing world leader, I'd look at the Brits and think, what a bunch of saps.
I love having you on, Bob. In fact, I'm going to give you 30 more seconds. Do you not find it slightly ironic? I know you're no longer a Tory MP, but so you can say what you want. That today the corruption minister has had to resign because she's under criminal investigation for corruption allegedly in Bangladesh, where her aunt was overthrown as PM. Bob Seeley.
It is really, I mean, to be honest, I don't know where to start with this government. I didn't think they were going to be very good, but not even I thought they would be this bad. And you wonder, just every couple of months, it just gets worse. And they have another reset, then it gets worse, and another I don't know where it's going to end. I mean...
Who picked these people? A transport secretary who'd lied and stolen from an insurance company, a corruption minister who's facing corruption, and a chancellor who lied on her CV, man.
That's not the worst of it. The worst of it was she just handed over billions of your money, my money, everyone's money to a bunch of train drivers so they can be even better paid. And she didn't even ask for any reforms of anything that they were ever doing. It was literally, thanks for making Britain ungovernable. Thanks for helping deliver us a majority. Thanks for attacking the Tories. Have a few billion quid of public money. If that is not institutionalised corruption, high-end institutionalised corruption, I don't know what is.
Bob, don't ever give up. We need you back. Thank you so much indeed. Dr. Bob Seeley, former Conservative MP and military expert.